All right, so are you ready to dive into the Reachville universe?
Absolutely, I am.
We've got these excerpts about Millie, and wow, there's just so much to unpack about this world she's in.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So we're talking like fictional adventures, kind of a peek behind the scenes of how it's all made, even connections to other stories. Where should we even begin?
Well, I think it's fascinating how these layers all come together. We're not just looking at one story here, but like a whole creative ecosystem.
Exactly, yeah, it's like a whole world.
Hmm.
Let's start with Millie herself. I mean, she's this young witch trying to save her sister Sandra,
Right.
but then, bam, she accidentally creates a portal.
Right.
And this green mist gives her all this power.
Sounds intense.
It is. And of course, she's got Garden, this, how do I even describe this? Grumpy goblin companion along for the ride.
Oh, I love Garden. He's hilarious.
He is.
Yeah.
But what do you make of this accidental power-up, this green mist thing? Is it a good thing for Millie? Or is it more trouble than it's worth?
That's a really interesting question because it's kind of both, right?
Yeah.
Like the green mist gives Millie incredible abilities, but it also, it throws her into this world of danger and the unknown. And Garden, with all his, skepticism and comedic relief, he adds another layer to it all. He's
Yeah.
almost like the voice of doubt, constantly reminding Millie of the risks.
Right, right. I can see how his worrying could either ground her or just make her want to pull her hair out.
Totally.
But speaking of danger, the episode you wanted to explore, what was it called?
Found you, or did I?
Yes, From the Eye of Carly's Hope.
Oh, such a good one.
I'm already hooked just by that title. It makes you think about like identity,
Yeah.
and perception, even what's real and what's not in this universe.
Oh, absolutely. The title itself is already hinting at those blurred lines between, like you said, reality and perception.
Yeah.
And then you have the Eye,
Mhm.
this entity that Millie meets in a cavern. It's full of these shimmering gems. It claims it wants to help her, even reveals that her mother's a captive too. But the big question is, can Millie really trust this entity? What's its real motivation?
There's so many questions.
Right. And what's the deal with that rock? The Eye insists is so important. It seems so ordinary.
That rock. Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Like, what's so special about it?
Exactly.
You know what else really caught my attention? That spell, the one on the dead god's bones, the one that could mess with Sandra's fate. It's like every little detail just adds another layer of suspense.
Totally. And I think that's what makes this world so captivating. We're drawn in by the mystery, the danger, and that constant feeling of discovering something new.
And it's not just Millie's story, right?
No, not at all.
This whole Reachville universe, it's a digital interactive experience, and it's mind-blowing. We've got Jerry Warren, also known as Jasmine, with his past trauma and PTSD.
Right.
Then there's Toddley Stew, which is about these two guys. Well, they're on the psychedelic trip.
Right.
And then we have Valiant Man lurking in the shadows. How is it all connected?
Yeah, that interconnectedness is really key here. It's like these separate stories are actually threads in the same tapestry, each one adding to the big picture. And what's so cool is we get these glimpses into Karen Eastland's mind, the author, through her creative diary.
Her diary, that's right.
Yeah.
So we get this behind-the-scenes look.
Yeah.
And she's using AI tools like ChatGPT for editing and even creating images. Makes you think about how technology is changing the creative process.
It's a fascinating evolution for sure. On one hand, we have this traditional writing craft, but then there are these powerful tools that can like enhance the whole process.
It makes me want to try some of those AI tools myself. See what I could come up with.
Okay.
But Karen doesn't stop there, does she?
No.
She's writing songs like Ode to the Bus Driver and Celestial Journey. She's even writing short stories and building these detailed character backgrounds.
Yeah.
It's inspiring to see her embrace all these different approaches.
It really speaks to her dedication. You can tell she wants to explore every single aspect of storytelling.
Definitely. But before we get too lost in Karen's world, let's talk about the Keelas.
Oh, yeah.
They're described as these powerful women, 4 feet tall, with a hive mind, working to dismantle oppressive systems. It's like a secret society of, like, total badasses.
They're so cool. They definitely add a really intriguing element to the universe. And that anecdote about Indicus Resquire, the Sin Eater, encountering a world of owls.
Oh, right. The owl world.
It's just hilarious.
It is. I'm picturing this, like, 4-foot-tall sin eater surrounded by owls, and he's struggling with their unique digestive habits.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's a perfect example of how the author mixes humor with these more serious themes.
It does lighten things up.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is the key labs are connected to Indicus, so it
Yeah.
ties them back into this whole web of characters and storylines.
It always comes back to that interconnectedness. Nothing in this universe exists on its own. Everything is woven together, and it creates this, like, rich and complex tapestry of stories.
It's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
It makes you really appreciate her world building. You know, it's not just like throwing random fantasy stuff together. It's a whole universe where everything matters.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of things that matter, remember that cliffhanger? Millie's back in the ether, and her sister's trapped
Oh, yeah.
in that invisible cell. It's heartbreaking,
Yeah.
but the eye's saying, hold on, don't rush in. Like, it could mess everything up, especially with that spell hanging over Sandra.
Hmm.
Do you think the eye's right? Should Millie be cautious?
Tough one. I mean, the eye seems genuine about wanting to help her,
Yeah,
but we still don't know the whole story, right? It's true motives. It's that classic problem. Do you trust your gut or listen to this powerful but maybe shady entity?
exactly. It's like, who do you believe? And then there's Sam, another witch. She shows up, totally clueless that Millie's even there.
Oh, right, Sam.
We find out Millie's on this higher level now, invisible to everyone except her twin. Like, she's a ghost, but powerful.
It's so interesting how that works. Raises questions about perception and power dynamics. Millie can see it all, but she can't interact directly. That's a weird kind of power, right?
Yeah.
To witness, but not interfere.
Yeah, it's got to be more frustrating than having no power at all.
I would think so.
To be so close but unable to act. And watching Sam with Sandra's cell, knowing the stakes, that spell, it's like a ticking time bomb.
Absolutely. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. And that's what's so good about this episode. We're on the edge of our seats. Will Millie trust the eye? Will she just go for it and risk it all for her sister?
The suspense is killing me. But taking a step back, it's amazing how Karen pulls all these threads together. Millie's quest, Jasmine's PTSD, the Toddley Stew guys, the key lass. It's a whirlwind.
It's incredible. And it's not just for show, you know? These different elements are connected. They add depth to Reachville. Every time you look, there's another connection, another layer of meaning.
Yeah, it's like constantly peeling back layers. And let's not forget about Karen's process. This woman's a machine. She's creating this whole world, documenting it, experimenting with AI, writing music. What blows you away about how she works?
It's how she embraces the old and the new, I think. There were those classic storytelling elements,
Yeah.
character arcs, plot twists, emotions. But she's not afraid to use new tools, like the way she uses AI to help her write or create images. It really makes you think about what being an author even means in this digital age.
It's true. She's pushing boundaries. And it's not just the tech. It's the songs, the short stories, the character bios.
Yeah.
It's like she can't stop creating.
And that passion is contagious. It makes you want to get creative too, right? Explore new things, try new approaches, push your own limits.
Oh, totally. Her work shows you what passion and dedication can do. But let's not forget the serious stuff. Jasmine struggles with PTSD. It's not something you see a lot in fantasy, especially not so raw and honest.
It's a brave choice, and it shows that Karen wants to ground this fantastical world in real human experiences. It reminds us that even in a world with magic, people still face real problems.
Right.
And it's through those problems that characters grow. They become more relatable to us.
I agree. It's that mix of fantasy and relatable stuff that hooks you in. Even the key lass, with their hive mind and being so small, they're portrayed with such humanity.
Exactly.
They're not just these, like, perfect heroes. They're complex with their own struggles.
Karen's good at that, creating characters who are both extraordinary but relatable. She makes us care about what happens to them. And the way she uses humor, like the Indicus and the owls thing.
Oh, yeah.
It makes even the serious stuff a little lighter, warmer.
It's like a reminder not to get too bogged down, you know. Find joy, even when things are tough.
Exactly. It's finding that balance between the dark and the light, the serious and the silly. And Karen, well, she seems to have nailed it.
She really has. It's inspiring to see someone embrace their creativity like that and share it so openly.
Makes you wonder what else she has up her sleeve, right?
For sure. Oh, and speaking of hidden things, remember that rock Millie found? The one the eye made such a big deal about?
Oh, yeah. We still don't know what's up with that.
It's like, that rock has to be important. Could be the key to breaking the spell on Sandra, or some hidden power source, or even connected to something bigger in Reachville.
The possibilities are endless.
And that's what keeps you coming back. The mystery, the intrigue, always discovering something new. It's addictive.
It really is. And it's not just about the plot twists, you know? It's about the journey, exploring this world, connecting with the characters, and what we learn along the way.
And it's amazing how Karen brings us along. Through her diary, her YouTube, we see her process, her struggles, her wins. It's like we're all on this journey together.
It makes it so much richer,
Hmm.
right? It's not just about reading a story, it's about being a part of the creative process, seeing the passion that goes into building a world like Reachville.
You said it perfectly. But as much as I'm loving this deep dive into Karen's mind and Reachville, I need to know what happens next with Millie. That cliffhanger. Her staring at those glowing bones, knowing they're the key. It's killing me.
Oh, yeah, the anticipation is real. I can't wait to see what she does, how she uses her powers, if she can finally outsmart everyone and get back to her family.
Me too. But before we get swept away, it's worth thinking about the big picture. What does Millie's story tell us about trust, power, and the choices we make when things are really tough?
That's a good question. It makes you think. If you were Millie, would you trust the eye? Would you risk everything for your family?
It's a tough choice,
Oh.
and it's something we can all relate to, even if we're not fighting spells or weird creatures.
It's about that battle between your head and your heart, logic versus intuition. And in the end, finding the courage to make the choice that feels right, even when you don't know what'll happen.
Powerful stuff. It reminds you that even when it feels hopeless, you still have the power to choose your path, to fight for what you believe in, and never give up hope.
So well said. That message of hope, of not giving up, that's what makes Millie's story so inspiring.
It's a story that shows you, even in the darkest times, there's always light somewhere.
And that sometimes the most ordinary things, like a smooth gray rock, might hold the key to something amazing.
Makes you think, doesn't it? Like what
Yeah.
seems totally normal could actually be super powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
It's that whole don't judge a book by its cover thing.
Exactly.
Except here it's more like don't judge a rock by, well, by being a rock.
Uh-huh, right.
And I think that's a big part of what Karen Eastland does. You know, she makes you look deeper, question what you think you know, and be open to the unexpected.
He does.
It's like she's made this world that reflects our own in a lot of ways. But with this extra layer of magic and like anything is possible vibes,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, what if there really were Keelas out there fighting for good?
That would be amazing.
What if we all had some hidden power inside us,
Yeah.
just waiting to be unlocked, like Millie?
It's a cool thought, right? And it shows how fiction can give us hope, make us imagine a better world. But it also, like, challenges us to think about how we can bring those ideas into our own lives.
Yeah, it does.
How can we be more like the Keelas, fighting for what matters? How can we find our own hidden strengths?
Those are big questions.
Yeah.
And I think Karen's work kind of shows us a way, you know?
Yeah.
She's not just telling stories, she's sharing how she does it, the tough parts, the good parts.
Right.
She's showing us that it's okay to try new things, to mess up, to keep learning.
She's a great example for anyone who wants to get creative and do something cool with it. And I think it's super interesting how she's using AI, like ChatGPT, to help with her writing and images. It makes you wonder about the future of creativity and how technology is going to be part of it all.
That's a whole other conversation. But for now, let's get back to the heart of it all. Millie, her journey, and this incredible world of Reachville.
Sounds good to me.
What really stands out to you about Millie's story?
Honestly, it's her resilience. Like, she keeps getting hit with these crazy challenges, but she never gives up. She's always learning, adapting, and finding the strength to keep going. It's inspiring.
It really is.
I think it reminds us that even when we feel lost or confused or totally overwhelmed, we still have the power to choose.
Yeah.
We can choose to be brave, to be kind, and to never lose hope.
Well said. And that's what I want our listeners to take away from this.
As you keep exploring, in stories and in real life, remember Millie's journey. Remember the Keelas. Remember that even something as simple as a rock can have huge potential. And most importantly, remember that you have the power to create, to inspire, and to make the world a better place.
I love that. That's a perfect way to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Reachville. And until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep those imaginations running wild.